You can support the Terrible Warriors today by visiting patreon.com/terriblewarriors. Today on the Terrible Warriors, our mutants are finally in orbit. Game Master Justin Ecock gathers his mutant animals around the table. And usually when mysterious messages are beaming down from space in a game such as this, it's never a good sign. And as our team of space mutant outcasts reach their destination, well, is it anyone's surprise that everyone's waiting for them? Now, as we hurtle out of the wasteland and into the void of the unknown, I take you to our team, to our mutants in orbit, to our Terrible Warriors. Welcome back to Terrible Warriors. I am your Game Master, Justin Ecock, returning to the world of mutants in orbit. Why aren't we in space yet? I am standing around this table with one player and three on Skype, hitting right here in front of me. Hitting. What happened to my words?
Okay.
Use your words, Justin.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
my
if you
segue.
played the game.
Only I'd played your game.
You'd be able to use your words. It's Julian Spillane.
Welcome
here
back.
From Use Your Words and Blast Processors and tons of other things.
Yeah, that game's coming out soon, eh?
March is our like estimated date right now.
You knew just what to get for my birthday.
That's exactly it.
Oh, thank you. And live from Edmonton, from the Thursday crew, bringing you the laughs, bringing you the feels, bringing you the Suicide Squad, we have...
I'm Derek Dodd from Chase of the Muse.
Hi, Derek. Thanks for being here. Sorry what I just did to your character in the last episode, but I'm going to kill you now. And welcome back to the show.
Kill everyone else first.
Basically, our resident long-form game master from Ravenloft to Embers of the Jedi. He's the man who likes to cross over genres.
That's right. It's what I do. It's Mike the Birdman Dodd from ThisWeekInGeek.net, wrapped in a blankie because it's cold today.
Oh, that's just fit your cheeks. And welcome as our special guest from our Patreon reward system. We have welcome to the show, Mr. Andy.
And Andy Hughes. I've gone on Twitter's like 2002, or just follow me whenever you can.
And you're playing the Empire of Man dog who's been sent to infiltrate this particular mission. We have, and of course, Mike playing Sid Hamilton, the commander and duck in charge. And down in the trailer behind, we have three NPCs, a frog, a rabbit, and a seagull. We didn't give them any names because they're red shirts.
Yeah.
And
Their entire job
their
is to
vacuum,
die to
in fact,
save
including
me.
yours, Julian, all your vacuum suits in the back are red. Which is that's going to work out. And Julian returning from the first After the Bomb campaign, playing El Greco, the cat, with nothing left to lose. He's gone through 8 of his lives. He's living his 9th now.
Got a chip on my shoulder the size of Manhattan.
And running this ship with a last-second betrayal. Shocker! Who saw that coming? I did. It's Mutork, the Greasy, who's also like our Scotty, and now very angry demigod.
Very angry demigod whose sole deific domain is this spaceship.
So we return into this story now in flight, because the credits started to roll with the ship launching off, and now it's like, I guess as the title of the show is playing, you start hearing the kind of building up, and it just cuts into the cabin. Everything's shaking. You guys are being pulled back. Sid, you are flying here. You are hearing radio chatter coming down from the ground, but they're counting down to radio silence because, as explained, no radio signals can break through the atmosphere since the Great Death. Something with the radiation or the electromagnetic interference, something that happened when the bombs dropped, have prevented for the past 100 years radio signals from leaving the ionosphere. They just get bounced back down, which means communication is really amplified on Earth, but also why we have made no contact with the station above.
Justin,
Yeah?
the moment we lose the moment they go into radio silence, Mutork has it rigged so the 8-track player lodged into one of the walls just starts looping Space Oddity.
Okay, sure. I can't really tell you what to do anymore. That's just what happens then.
So this is through the entire ship?
As the static is playing and you hear one of the announcers from the ground below, radio silence, 3, 2, And then all of a sudden,
Bowie's
David
Space
Bowie's Space Odyssey just begins to like come in over the speaker, being broadcast on all channels.
Like, well, I didn't program that. Thanks, Mutork.
And you, the people in the back, you don't have a view of what's happening outside, but up in the cabin, Light and Sid, you see the atmosphere thinning out, the stars beginning to come in. For most of the time,
have video camera, like video footage coming in through like a TV in the back or something.
do you?
Yes.
I mean,
Mutork wants to see what's going on.
all right, Mutork, you have it's a small monitor because especially display monitors would have been quite difficult to come across. So it's a small thing like you would have found even on like an old Commodore. Like it's like just like the size of your hand, and it's up in one of the catwalks that you're chained to, and as the gravity, as the G-forces increase, you feel the thrust of the ship is going, and the first stage ends, and you hear those microwave engines begin to change how much thrust they're giving as the gravity begins to shift and change, and you're not slowing down, so there's still a pressure, but it's not in the same direction that it was in before. You know what I mean? And David Bowie's playing now, so you don't hear the radio transmission that is being sent without static. You can hear a voice underneath, like that's not part of Space Oddity, but you hear a voice trying to talk over it, but no one. I don't think you can make out what they're saying.
Thanks, Mutork.
You see,
You know what the controls to cut the Space Odyssey to figure out what the hell that is?
as the system's taking place, can you give me a pilot craft?
Spacecraft?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
for
a
you, Sid.
D100, right?
That would be a 100. Yeah.
Okay, just give me a sec.
You
Make
have
sure you roll below your percentage.
you have 62% on spacecraft.
23.
Okay, yeah, that's a great success. So as that happens, as the engines shift their thrust from getting to the escape velocity to now going into an orbital, you're just following the step-by-step instructions here that you've done in your space simulators to move the ship now into the correct trajectory to head towards the source of the transmission, and you feel the thrusters that Mutork had installed reorient the ship, and it begins to then push you into the new direction as you go into a stable orbit towards it. And you can see coming up the horizon over the far end of the planet a bright light that you believe is the source of your destination. And still a voice playing as the Space Oddity hits into the guitar solo. You hear...
Mr. Ecock, would my senses be able to pick that up, the voice up?
You know what? Yeah, you do have... that's true. One of your dog powers is advanced hearing. So I would say yes, you can use that to zero in on a particular sound and filter that out. And as everyone else is hearing, dang, 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 you hear what sounds to be a heavily accented voice in a panic over the radio, asking for an identification. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. Unknown vessel, identify yourself, or we will open fire.
Hammy, there's someone speaking over the radio, faintly under the song. They're wanting us to identify ourselves.
Okay, well, let's cut the music and let's turn on.
Oh, fine. Mutork shuts off the music.
So can I hear this voice?
Yeah,
now?
roll me a radio basic to zero in on their frequency so that you can respond.
Okay, let me see. Radio
That's a 75.
75, yeah.
So just roll. Yeah, you're gonna get it. I just want you.
Damn, Dodd, your skills are way higher than mine.
My radio's 80%, so
He had all that specialized
15.
training, so that's why I gave it for him. So fifth. Oh fuck, that's awesome. So yeah, so you click in, and the static disappears as the voice gets clear, and you can hear it's unidentified vessel. Identify
You're
yourself.
Russian.
Yeah, identify yourself, or we will open fire.
Nuclear whistles.
Is it in English?
He's
or
speaking.
Russian?
He's speaking. You have language Russian. You understand Russian. Everyone else is hearing a Russian voice over the loudspeaker.
Okay, so I'll respond in Russian that we are a ship from Earth under the coalition of species wishing to make contact.
you knew how to speak Russian?
Yep.
This is all there's
Dog.
chatter going on. You hear some commotion in the background over the radio. Another like a sounds like a bickering little debate. Fine, prepare for docking. Click, and you see a bright, like a running light on the side of what is now coming. It looks like a giant. It looks like an H, letter H, but in the center of the H is a ring with several arms through the ring and like a dome in the center of that ring. So that's kind of what it looks like. Think of, I don't know, there's nothing else to think of. That's what it looks like. It's an H with a ring in the center and a dome in the center of the ring. And it's in that dome in the center that is blinking like a running
beacon.
lights into the center like an X going into the middle. That's basically your target. Now, you are going to need to roll again piloting spacecraft SID
48.
to retrograde so you don't crash into this thing. What'd you roll?
48 under 62.
Yeah, so you the retrogrades. I don't know if we built. I don't know how these microwave engines work, but basically, you
I don't think anyone. I don't think no one knows how these engines work.
Sci-fi.
Utork doesn't even know how it works.
Sci-fi,
He built it.
incredibly, it just begins to slow down in space, even though it shouldn't. And the joystick, you begin to move into a docking procedure. The docking as it's coming, because part of the retrograde is you flipped the ship around and hit your retrograde thrusters, so now you're moving the ship much more slowly with the rear, where the cabin where you entered in on the scissor lifts, that's where you will dock into the back of it. So like backing the truck up into a loading dock is
we did a
basically
flip
what you're
burn.
doing.
Yeah.
And
Beep, beep.
and Mutork actually put in a reverse beeping into this, even though you can't hear it in space. It's still
No, but you could hear it inside.
You can hear it
know
inside,
you're going backwards.
reverberating through everything. We know we're going backwards now. It's very important to have the backwards beep.
It is.
I mean, that's part of the creative Bob, isn't it?
Absolutely. You always know when you're going backwards.
the fourth commandment of Bob.
Always know when
Always beep when in reverse.
And signal.
The
Signal.
third command is objects appear smaller.
I'll just mirror closer than they appear.
Yes, exactly. That's like the third creed of Bob. They're basically a whole bunch of like safety warnings that are on a truck in the gas station that was passed down to you by, I don't know, fever dreams.
Employees
Pretty
must
much.
wash. All employees
We were
must
just
wash
found
hands.
The gas station that day.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly.
This door to remain closed at all times.
Yeah, exactly.
It's important to remember that Mutork is functionally just a Fallout character.
No cell phones or smoking while fueling.
Yes.
Do not leave the engine running while refueling. Do not idle.
And the sacred prayer, the door is ajar.
The door is ajar.
It's a koan.
The door is ajar. You hear as it sucks, and you hear a locking mechanism click as the air pressure begins to get equal. And your chairs, we head down into the back cabin with El Greco. You're weightless now, and you can just you can unbuckle. And the frog, the rabbit, the seagull, they've unbuckled. No one has ever actually talked to these three people. You don't actually know their names.
Yeah, I've just been
They're just volunteers.
Ignoring them, basically.
Well, I mean, Mutork's talked at them.
They're looking around kind of unsure, like they're waiting for someone to tell them what to do.
Yeah, I just...
Okay, now this is where I want to take command of the mission.
Yep,
Sure.
absolutely.
Okay. All right, we do not know what to expect. We probably have about 2 minutes before someone comes knocking on our door here.
Are you heading into the trailer?
Yeah.
Okay. Of the space
No
digger.
one weapons at your side, but make sure safeties are off.
Justin,
Yes.
what kind of weapons do we have?
You, right?
The weapons that everyone has, for the most part, are regular bullet
Projectile weapons.
Yeah,
Slug throwers.
so they have sidearms and whatever Julian wrote in his character sheet. I will say, Andy, if you look, you don't have a regular projectile weapon, and
Yes, I noticed.
it's part of your armor set. If anyone wants to check, you can see. I'll let you know, but tell me if you're looking for it.
The cover of the book has it actually pretty clearly. He has a laser built into his arm, Iron Man style.
No, he's not in that kind of an armor, but
Okay.
because that might happen later. He has, but he does have he has a pistol that's much more high tech than the regular revolvers and magazine clip pistols. that you can
Whatever
I'm also
kludgy thing
gonna say
Mutork
this.
has.
And
This should
Mutork, if you want on board, you still have your junk launcher
Awesome.
because you just
have.
built it out of whatever you want, right?
we are in space.
No-
I'd like to point out
Nobody
firing
fire
weapons-
anything inside vehicle. If you fire in punch cabin,
Exactly.
you-
That's what I was
you
all-
get
all
whole body
three-
sucked out through dime-sized hole.
Yeah, all three of the Makos have brought on. They also have melee weapons as well. Like most people in After the Bomb, they're trained in hand-to-hand combat, which is one reason why they volunteered for this job. Is because if something were to come to it in close quarters, you don't want a hull breach, you don't want being sucked out into space, so that's why you bring a sword.
Yeah, I got my 2 katanas.
Right, yeah, I got my saber as well. So
Justin,
Yes?
actually,
So-
Mutork anticipated this one fact.
Yeah.
What the junk jet doesn't actually fire now is junk. It just fires compressed air.
Oh, okay. So you've created like a sonic booming kind of like a anti-protest
A sonic
weapon kind of
shotgun.
thing.
Yeah.
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 I'm
Very
guessing-
short range.
I'm gonna guess that 32 caliber revolver might not be enough to punch through the hull.
Still works the same way,
Probably
Derek,
subsonic.
where you can
Yeah.
charge it up. You can spend a round to charge it up to get a bigger push, and you
Yes.
can spend it up to, I think, what was it, 3 or 4 rounds, or you could charge it up to max.
Yeah.
You're just cranking it like a wind-up
Yeah.
radio. Yeah. What did you say,
But,
Dodd?
I was about to say, I'm guessing my 32 revolver is on high enough caliber to punch through the hull.
Well,
That's probably subsonic.
The important thing is that in a
Yes.
spaceship, every piece of equipment is important. Any damage within the ship done by a projectile weapon, because the ricochets are crazy in space, because there's just air resistance to stop it. There's no gravity.
Yeah, the gravity won't slow it, won't pull it down.
It will keep fucking ricocheting goddamn everywhere
Unless it
until
punches-
it embeds in something.
Or punches right through the wall if it's like a higher
Exactly.
caliber thing. So the
Well, it would eventually slow down because it's transferring energy every time it collides into it. And thus
Right,
loses its
but
potential.
it's going to break a lot of shit.
Yes.
so while you guys are all talking about the weapons, you start hearing sounds on the other side, a knocking on the door, and what sounds like locks being disengaged.
So
looks like you called it.
Just be
So-
ready.
How do you want to be in this room when that door opens? Because the door is going to open now.
I've got 2 of the NPCs on one side of the door, and I'm standing on the other with the phone.
I'll stand in front of the group.
I
Okay.
suspect the two
I'm
other
saying-
NPCs are on either side of me.
And I'm standing next to Hammy.
Okay. So the door opens. The back of the cabin has lighting, but it's like hanging light bulbs kind of lighting with like it's lowish lighting like you would see in a garage. And when the door opens, this is more like the lighting on the International Space Station. So it's very like fluorescent and white and clean. And it as the door opens, it sends like a blade of light right up through the trailer, and you get this cool, fresh air. You guys have lived in the wasteland your entire life. You have never really felt filtered air like this. And as the white light spills through and it opens up, you see the silhouette of a soul person there, and as your eyes adjust to it, the silhouette is that of an upright floating dolphin.
Huh.
Well,
And
that was unexpected.
Floating.
well,
Yeah,
floating
that
because of the
went
zero
to-
gravity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
And but like with a tail, no legs, but human arms and an upper torso. So think like a mermaid, but think more like street sharks.
Yeah.
So like still like a very dolphin head. But the mutation is something like of so bizarre, like you've never seen. The kind of thing that never would have survived on Earth.
Awesome.
And
No need for legs.
well, no need for legs at all. As the door, as the compartment opens, the dolphin shows. You hear this like excited dolphin cry. Yeah! Oh, this is so great! Actual visitors. Oh, welcome aboard. Well, he comes in. He looks at. Oh my gosh! Look at you. Are you a frog? That's incredible. It is the NPC frog is like he's like. What? How do you react to this kind of like friendly enthusiasm?
You just
like,
look around, panicked.
Like, oh, I've only ever seen you in the vids. And then he looks at Sid, and is all like, oh, a duck. Oh, and he goes right into he swims right up to you and is getting like right up and starts asking you all these questions about your flotation behaviors, your insulation, because he's totally nerding out on your biology.
I'm be like, okay, first off, just take a float back.
No, of course. You're the first. We didn't know that there were. You all look so normal. He looks around. You're not monsters at all. Oh, we thought for sure there were nothing but monsters down there.
Oh, there's some weird things down there. Don't think that for a second, but
We have so much to talk
vast
about.
majority, we're pretty
The
normal.
only monster on Earth is man.
Well, the station can hold a number of visitors. We don't have anyone really over today, so you're all welcome aboard. We have dinner prepared. Oh, Prince will be so happy to meet you.
Who's in command?
Oh, that would be Prince. That would Prince. Prince is in command. I'm Steven.
Hi, Steven.
Hi. So, what's your name?
Don't
Don't tell me. Let me guess. Quack. Quack.
You can't use that word. That is their word.
Is he armed? by the way?
Coalition of species.
No, he's in a blue jumpsuit
Okay. So I'm just gonna holster my weapon.
with like zippers and pockets. I mean, I think the closest thing he might have to a weapon would be a multi-tool on his belt.
I'm gonna say Commander Sid Hamilton, Coalition of Species. This is my crew. And I'll allow them to introduce
Coalition of
themselves.
species? How many of you are there now? Let's,
Or you've got flippers.
listen, I'm just here to welcome you aboard. Let's head into the. Let's get out of the hangar. This is garbage. I love what you've done though. This is like.
Thank you.
I can't imagine what it must be like to live down there. And he starts like the way like someone kind of really talks down in a way that they're trying to compliment but also insult your way of life.
Yep.
Yeah. And he starts just going on as he's leading you out the door. Are you guys following? Again, zero gravity, so it's going to be a little clumsy here. So the only person I think who's going to be comfortable with that is Sid.
I also have movement 0G.
Oh, great. So
Because I'm crazy.
because you're crazy. The rest of you can grab onto the walls and kind of pull yourself along. But while we're in zero gravity, you'll be taking a minus 10% to your skill checks. Except for the people with movement 0G, you're unaffected by that, and you can move relatively freely. You can navigate, reorient, and push yourself off in different directions.
So, Justin,
Yep.
I've got a 150-yard tether on me.
Yep. Not that long. It's definitely shorter than the 150-yard range because it needs to keep you within range. I would say,
So I can't really join them on the station. I'm pretty much stuck on the ship.
unless you talk to your compatriots about that. Yes.
Wait a second. How long is Derek's leash?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
It is. Let me roll for it. It is. I'm gonna multiply that. It is 102 yards.
So it's a football field.
So it's about 300 feet.
So it's quite long. It's within range of your psionic power. I was hoping it was going to be a lot shorter, but it ended up rolling an 84. So
Do you know the full extent of Mutork's powers, that he can talk to machines?
it was in a briefing that sure, I'll just say that yes.
The description of what he could do is kind of unbelievable.
I want to hang back for a second. Say, Steve, just hold on a second. I forgot something. And I want to go back and talk to Mutork.
Mutork's kind of pulling on his tether at the wall.
So the three red shirts and El Greco, are you gonna stay behind, or are you gonna follow Steve?
We're gonna follow Steve.
You follow Steve, and what about you, Andy? Are you going to board?
I'll wait with the commander.
You're gonna wait with the commander. Okay.
Okay.
We'll as you guys are following Steve, we'll stay in the trailer for now for Dodd as you talk to Mutork.
All right, Mutork. You've probably got about 100 yards on your tether there, which I'm sorry.
102.
I have no clue.
Mutork am measured.
Talk to the machines here. They don't know what we know. I would rather have an advantage. Find out everything you can.
At least send Mutork food. Flying into orbit and make Mutork very hungry. As he's pulling at his tether.
Tell you what, I'll send the dog to go get you some food. And we'll keep an eye out.
Yes. For once, doggies will do what kitties say.
Excellent.
All right, go grab Mutork some chow.
Okay,
Keep your eyes open.
So with that figured out, we just making some
With a
bookmarks.
sigh,
here.
he goes out and does what he's ordered to do.
As we return to Steve leading the first half of the crew into the station. He's like, he loves doing the tour guide thing here, talking about you're on board Leica Station, one of the five remaining of the 6 original stations that were in orbit before the Great Flash. And Leica Station is a hub for transport between all the freebooters or the jackbooters, and used to be a fueling depot before all the nonsense happened there with the moon. And now it's just me and Prince, and we look after the station as well as being a monitoring station for looking down on Earth. So I spend most of my time watching the vids and brushing up on my history. Was it really true about? And he mentions some just nonsense. You'd have no idea what it's about. And he's just a total nerd about terrestrial life. And he keeps referring to you all as just Earthlings, like actual Earthlings on the ship. No one will believe me. I can't wait to get back to Freedom Station.
How long have you guys been up here?
I've been here about a year or two, but Prince has been here since the beginning. He's been on Leica Station longer than anyone. He's hard to get along with. You'll get used to him. Don't worry. He's just a teddy bear. Sid is hanging back with Mutork. Mutork, you're gonna hack into the ship and try and talk to it.
Yes.
And Andy, come with us down the hallway. I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
PM
basically,
you.
I just float out and I just basically just join up with the rest of the tour.
So you're here with the. Can we name these guys yet?
Slippy.
Well, we've
Slippy the
frog.
Toad.
Yeah.
We'll have
Bugs.
Willhammer.
Willhammer.
Willhammer,
Yeah.
the rabbit.
All right.
Willhammer the Jackrabbit.
Willhammer Jackrabbit.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Jack the Seagull.
Jack the Seagull.
Okay.
Willhammer, Jack, and Slippy.
And Slippy, that's not his name, but he from Gatorland, he's almost like he doesn't talk a lot, he's just drinking that weird swamp green thing, and you realize he just hasn't actually told anyone his name. So everyone
we basically just gave him a
called him
nickname.
Slippy. Yeah. But when he's at the shooting range, he's a marksman like no one else. So whatever.
Just a quiet guy.
Just a quiet guy. Just quiet.
He's here to do his job.
Gonna kill you. So Steve brings you down the hallway with, I'm going to write these in slip. Willhammer. I don't know where Willhammer came from. And Jack. So
Wait, are there 3 of them? I thought there were 4.
you're the fourth. El Greco is the fourth.
Julian's the
Oh,
fourth.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But only because for you, Mutork, there hasn't yet been any distinction between Julian and the other non-player characters.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of blended in right now until
Except
you
that he's a cat.
until you betray everybody and blow up the ship and take off to go join the Empire.
Hey, that's
That's a different campaign. Still bitter about that.
You're just late.
I couldn't believe it. And I pressed the detonator. I'm like, what? We haven't gotten off yet. So the
You all survived. I
so
don't know why you're
Steve brings you
complaining.
through a hallway, and you can now tell that like when you got out of the hangar, you were into that curved ring that was in the center of the H. But as he brings you to the sides, here the ship is in, or the station is in a rotation, and so the long arms of the H have a very low, like we're talking like 0.3, but a bit of gravity, just for the comfort of being able to move and eat and exercise. It's the center as you get closer to the docking ring that there's no gravity, obviously. So, and it's at the ends of the H where you can just stand right on the ends of the letter. It's a stupid design, but whatever. And all along the H are viewing platforms, a lot of windows that look down, and you can just see all the sensory equipment picking up. It's all static. But it seems to if you have radio understandings, they're picking up on different frequencies, keeping an eye out for anything that might peak. And Stephen's like, we usually keep all these things on mute because the white noise just really kind of gets to you after a while. But boy, did things get interesting 8 months ago. That was something else. And
suddenly the part of Steve is played by Brent Spiner.
yeah. Oh, okay. All right. The dolphin being played by Brent Spiner. And he just keeps going on talking about when everything just lit up. We didn't even know you had a space program, let alone able to launch something. And he's just kind of going on, and then he's really naive. He's got this romantic idea about the Earth.
What do you know about this countdown?
And he kind of countdown. I don't know what you're talking about.
We started receiving a transmission.
Oh, well, I'm just here to do listening and keep things clean, bring Prince his breakfast. Maybe he can answer that. And he brings it down to the end of the hall is a great door with a lock on it, and he rings a communicator doorbell on the side, and a green light flashes up on it, and the door opens up, and you enter into this impressive command chamber for a space station. There's a center area and a chair, and in the chair, surrounded by monitors and equipment, and you can hear that modem sound in the distance, and the chair turn, and it looks out like the observation room in the ISS that with it kind of looks like the window from the Death Star.
Yes.
Right, it's that is on the end of the H, and it looks out, and he's just staring out into space, and he turns the chair around, and sure enough, in a great fur uniform jacket and with very official looking markations and ranks is a big bear.
Yay!
And as he turns, he's
a
got
Kodiak.
He's got a little cup of tea, and he takes a sip. You have a lot of explaining to do, as he puts the tea very aggressively back onto the armrest of his chair.
Hey, I'm El Greco. Who are you?
I am Prince of this station, and you are
Wait.
reckless.
Is your name Prince or is your rank Prince?
Yes.
Okay.
And Steven's like, if you'll excuse me, I have some chores to get to. And he just kind of swims out of the door. Just as at this point we have Sid is going to, whenever he tells us he'll come around, he'll come into the room.
Yep, I'm coming in right now.
And the bear has this real not amused look on his face, Going, do you have any idea what kind of danger you have put us in?
Not in the least, sir.
Not at all.
Oh, you have much to learn. Much to learn of life in orbit. And then he turns his chair and he turns on a bunch of monitors that are all around him. Like this is like weird little Matrix command center, and it shows like what looks like a radar and a bunch of dots. And the dots, every time the radar makes a full circle around like the clock, the dots are getting closer. And it goes, "Do you know what that is?"
No, not at all.
That is your problem.
Well,
Wait, so elaborate? What do you mean our problem?
You launch a ship from Earth for the first time in 100 years. And you broadcast on all channels a human song. Like a war cry, you have sent them into a frenzy. You have awakened the hive. And now none of the stations are safe.
the hive? What the hell's the hive?
You're not there.
Do you know nothing? He seems really like he doesn't want to explain himself to you, and feels like you guys should know what's going on.
We don't know anything.
We don't know. We don't. It's like we just found out there was stuff up here just recently.
His chair turns again, like it's like this like automatic chair. He's such a douche, and he picks up the tea and he sips it again, and he puts it back down, and he begins to explain, like he's telling a story to a child. Like even his voice has gone up a little bit. Like, well. The humans built these stations, 6 in total, each from a different nation, each working to expand themselves into the reaches beyond, to fuel from the moon, to receive precious metals from the asteroid belt, to bring back for their vanity on Earth. And it was through that vanity that led to war. And the Great Flash freed the stations from the grasp of Earth, and the Earth has become distant and silent. And the stations have lived on, except for one. The Japanese station was shredded and destroyed in the opening attacks of what they called the Big Flash, which you likely parallel to the Great Death. And no one believed anyone survived, but yet from this observation post we have seen the lights of civilization glow. But the fires that burn and the chaos, it was the mutations that happened in orbit must have been tame compared to the mutations that happened down on the world below. And it was just believed that that place was just not to be lived on anymore. And things went okay until the drones that were stationed, engineered bees that were to harvest and fuel from the moon to collect carbon, broke free in their paranoia, convinced by their queen that the humans would return. And when they did, they would all know captivity and slavery again. And they would never allow that, and they would fight for their freedom. And now the stations must ration their fuel and recycle their air and share their ice so that they can continue to survive. And now you have brought them down upon us by declaring war.
Well, shit.
Light thinks we can blame the cat for this.
That sounds like you guys have a real problem on your hands then.
And he kind of like raises his eyebrow and goes, I'm 98 years old. I don't care what happens to me. You have a problem. If you wish to survive, you can run or you can fight. But they will be here in minutes.
Am I picking anything up coming towards the ship?
Meanwhile,
Justin?
back on the space digger, everything on the ship is in Russian.
Everything.
All the transmissions, the communications, the code language. It's a Russian space station built by Russians for Russians. The fact that we have a bear on board who's able to speak English is just a fact that he needs to be able to communicate with the other stations. But you are having a hard time trying to navigate your way through systems where you can't read, but you also can't speak the language.
Is there any kind of AI?
Yes, it seems amused, but it's very simple. It's not
Okay.
it's not the kind of AI that that you might have imagined. It's kind of like a step
I'm
above
talking to
Siri,
Siri.
but speaking Russian.
Well, does it have any kind of English database that it can use for communication? I mean,
The
to be
only
fair-
English you can find are text transmissions from a place identifying itself as Freedom Station. But it's just manifests for cargo. A lot of things called ICE units, and requests for fuel, and that's it.
Okay.
But it's not like a correspondence. It's just like shopping lists.
yeah.
However, you are picking up a lot of, because this is like a telepathic connection, right? But
Yeah.
the best that can be described as red warning bells. It's
I'm
a
going
proximity detector.
I'm going to tap into their radar system or their LADAR or whatever they're using, because it's probably better than whatever I built.
You'll gain an awareness then where you can kind of feel what it's picking up as it's pinging what can only be described as a swarm moving closer.
Do we have any kind of internal radios with our suits that we can use to communicate with each other?
Sure, you built it.
Yes, we definitely do then. Hey, guys, this is Mutork calling. Mutork the Greasy. Anyway, long story short, there big swarm of whatever thingies coming towards the station thingy.
Steven comes in through the door right after he says this with like a tea tray, and he's got some like snacks laid out, and he's like, "Oh, is this a bad time?"
God damn it, Steven.
Everyone looks a little serious. Okay, Will, he swims out with the tea tray. He goes somewhere else, and the bear kind of takes his hands and brings his hands together and folds them over his front and kind of goes, "There are basic weapons on the station. Your ship appears to be armed with something. I can't do much in my age.
How many staff do you have here?
Steven isn't going to be much help.
Is it just you and Steven here?
It has always just been me and Steven here."
Okay. Show us the guns.
He directs you to the ring that you came from. There will be lockers that will have equipment that can be used. You might want to put on some. You have some of you have your vacuum suits. You might want to seal that up, and that's about all the help he's willing to give. He will stay in here and let you know how bad you're doing.
Hey guys, the station have maneuvering thrusters, right? Does the station have maneuvering thrusters? Even like really basic ones for orientation?
Only to be used
so.
as a last resort, because it takes whatever energy they have just to keep the station in orbit. That those maneuvering thrusters need to be kept to keep the station up.
Okay. So anywho, Motork the Explodey, I'm not positioned correctly to shoot at whatever the heck is coming towards us.
You have access to all the weapons on the Space Digger.
Pardon?
You have access to all the turrets and weapons on Space
I
Digger.
know, but we're currently docked with a station, which means they have a really limited line of fire.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
we're,
true.
We're in the center of the station too,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were hoping if you can like move the station around like a turret
Yes.
and point the
Yes,
Space
I
Digger in the right
am.
direction. But it might make more sense to undock Space Digger if you want to have.
It might
Yeah,
it make
that freedom
more
of
sense
mobility.
to undock the ship.
I'll give you guys a quick chance to caught up. I know I'm not answering your questions that you want to ask, but this is what happens. What you get for playing David Bowie in space. It's true. Broadcasting it elsewhere.
Hey, man, it's all Mutork's fault. I fully accept that.
You start
this entire
hearing
situation is all Mutork's
in the
fault.
hallway outside. All those static,
David Bowie's fault.
all that static, all that the surveillance equipment. They all start picking up like what sounds like a very uniform signal, presumably from the swarm that's coming closer. The communications that they have. It's all getting kind of rapid, and finally the proximity alarms on the station begin to go off.
Okay, so what does this place have for weaponry?
In the weapons locker, they will have a number of energy weapons that are set up, lasers, as well as I had the page here. There was a cool thing. No, that's hardware, flare pistol, jet pistol. Yeah, there is one. You don't know what it is, but it looks like a long range weapon with a barrel, but rather than having like the same kind of energy cells that you would have recognized, Andy, from your energy pistol, or using projectile weaponry, it has what looks like a green like a kind of a thing you would screw on like from a super soaker or a paintball gun, but it's got like this swirling green gassy energy that's being used as its ammunition, and it's a rifle, and it has that green thing also falls on like a tube to a power pack that can be put onto your backpack.
Okay, I was actually going to dab that myself.
Oh, rock paper scissors for it.
Yep. Wait, how do you do rock paper scissors with someone?
You Julian, you'll go first, and you'll hold it. And then Andy will say what he picks, and I will be the adjudicator, and I will alert it. So you just show me what you want to have. And Andy, rock, paper, or scissors?
Scissors.
And you both had scissors. Do it again. So first, Julian, go ahead and freeze it. Andy, rock, paper, scissors.
Rock.
Julian picked scissors, so you get the chemical. You get the chemical laser rifle. So Andy picks up the rifle, and you strap it on. As the rest of you, there are. There's a very particular. There was a few in here that were designed to not inflict any damage on the ship. This one in particular, there's ion pistols that will deal like internal heat damage to a target without causing structural damage to what you're shooting around. Ion pistols and laser pistols, because we're on a space station, as well as a number of ceramic knives.
Hey, Justin.
Yep.
So I'm just flipping through the Mutants in Orbit book right now.
Yep.
I'm noticing the Leica station entry. Do they have the robots? Do they have the mechs? Or is that only if it's in rifts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of making up what this station is because I'm not following anything what they're saying because I'm just pulling out the name. But yes, because I will say that Mutork is flipping through Mutants in Orbit playbook and comes across. He can't read the language, but he can read blueprints, and you do find that just outside that ring where everyone's going to the lockers, there is it's a suit, but it's not meant for military use. It's meant for like industrial repairs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works. It works for that purpose.
Okay. Hey, Duckman.
Yes.
Duckman. Mutork, I need you go outdoor to left. Then go through door right, then stare in wondrous glory at the creation of Bob.
What did you do?
Just do it.
Okay, I will do as he said.
So as you come around, I am not going to go right off the one from Leica Station because I don't know what page is that one on.
It is page 76.
Oh, past that. I was looking at the Glitter Boys on 68.
The Glitter Boys.
So the Leica, the L7 Explorer is what you're looking at.
Yes, I am.
It's a small 3-man vehicle that can be dispatched from a larger spacecraft to retrieve satellites and space junk and used to deliver small packages, make repairs, and move into and close for inspections and investigations or place.
22 feet tall.
It has reasonably good capabilities and is often used to defend mining operations and larger vessels. So it can take up to 3 people with a pilot and 2 passengers. But it basically looks like a mix between Mech Warrior and Gundam.
Nice.
So, that's Hamilton, if you follow the directions, that's what you come across. It's all white. It's the only one on the station. And just as you see that, you come up to the ship, you hear a clunk on the outside of metal hitting metal and like tapping as you hear. Well, it just sounds like when you hear like a rat running around in an air vent. Like it's all this like on the outside of the ship.
Are the insects actually landing on the hull themselves, or do they have ships?
They are actually landing on the hull themselves because they are all in their own personal hard suits.
Oh, well, I guess if there's an incoming swarm, hey, Captain Duckman Ham, can Mutork open fire?
Kill them all.
Okay. For what it's worth, Justin, I light it up.
From the space digger?
Yeah.
So you just
that's all I got.
You just start like shooting them off with a BB gun, just picking them off the surface of the hull.
No, as their swarm starts descending towards the station, I just open fire on it.
Hey, Catman. If it moves, it dies.
Okay.
What
are you doing, Julian?
I'm gonna go back to the space digger and try to convince the group that we probably need to undock that thing and move it. I don't know who's gonna take that mech, but
it is. I mean, space digger is your truck.
Yeah. That's right. If you guys are gonna go out in that, I'm gonna take my truck back.
And
do what it does best.
And Andy, you've got your rifle. You're in a vacuum.
I'm full sealed. So
you're fully sealed. And when you're standing in the hallway, you actually see like you can hear what sounds like a cutting tool, and like there'll be a decompression if they cut through, but they're definitely just trying to cut through into the ship. And at that point, you hear Prince's door seal shut, click, and you hear another door down the hallway seal shut. Like, I'll see you on the other side. You hear from Steve, and the door clicks.
Question: does these vac suits have magnets on them?
These are you. Did you get into the one from the station or from?
I'm one from the station.
Okay, or not from the space digger. Sure.
Lockdown.
Click, click.
And also, I do grab a hold of the wall just in case.
Oh. So as this is happening, Slip is like trying to get his suit on and zip things up because he took his hat off so he could have a drink.
Yep.
And he starts hearing the cut and he's starting to panic. And both Willhammer and Jack are trying to like get the zipper up and they click their mag boots in as well. And while Slip's mag foot turns on, just before there's a tearing sound, as the habitat ring opens up, and the helmet slips out of Slip's hands. And he just starts gasping for air as he's reaching up to the helmet and trying to pull it down, and he starts pulling it, and Willhammer and Jack kind of like back off because just they get like fuck. Yeah. Nothing they can do. And as they're looking down and as the air is rapidly escaping, Slip's gonna have a couple minutes still.
I'm gonna shoot him.
You're not in that room. Andy's in the room. You're down the hallway getting into the mech suit.
Okay.
As just as that happens, though, an armored in black and white or black and yellow armor comes down as the air has shot out and makes eye contact. Well, eye contact is in a helmet, so you can't really tell with you, Andy, as the bees have arrived.
Point the rifle at it, pull the trigger.
Cool. And that's where we're going to hang on this episode.
Poor Slippy.
Where we'll start with some combat.
We didn't even know his name.
To prove the plot was serious.
I just had to. I rolled. I just went with the random roll to see like if any of them would die, and then which one would die.
Yep.
That was just it.
Fucking fraud.
And
God damn it, Slippy, you're useless as usual.
Slip was number 1 on the D4. So the bees have arrived. What is happening at Lake Station? What was that countdown transmission that they picked up? Why is everything in Russian? And what is going to happen to the space digger? Tune in next week as we try to wrap this thing up with a bow on Mutants in Orbit. I've been Justin Ecock, trying to make this thing all work together. And I have been joined across the table from me here in studio.
Julian Spillane.
And live from Edmonton.
I'm Derek the Bard from Chasing the Muse.
From his secret location of parts unknown.
Mike the Birdman Dodd, This Week in Geek.
And where are you from, Andy?
Eminence, Missouri, in the United States.
Missouri. From our Patreon reward supporter. I hope you're having fun, Andy. From Missouri.
Oh, I'm having a blast. Andy Hughes from Lido 2. Just follow me wherever you can.
Don't worry, I'll kill you in the next episode. And you can, anyways. I was going to say you can follow us on Dice Warriors, do all that, but I'm about to say that in the extra, so I don't know why I would say that.
Okay, well, bye.
Take it away, Justin. The Terrible Warriors has new episodes every Thursday, every Tuesday, and Mutants in Orbit will return in 2 weeks' time, where I'm absolutely sure our team of very well-prepared mutant animals will be able to handle the welcoming party at Lake Station. Hashtag Space Bees. And return to us this Thursday as Derek the Bard and his Edmonton team are playing The Secrets of Cats of Gravity Falls. I don't personally watch the cartoon, but everyone else seems to be digging it, so that's on Thursdays. They're just playing regular cats. I don't really have a whole lot to share with you because The Secrets of Cats is just a game where you play as regular house cats. And if you return to us next week on Tuesday, we have a new campaign for you. We're about to record it this weekend, so I don't really have a whole lot to share just yet, except that our Patreon supporters chose this game in a vote by 38%. They chose Masks, the New Generation. It's a teenage superhero team-up RPG. Think Teen Titans or Young Justice. But with the rules of Monster Hearts, the Sprawl, and Worldwide Wrestling, the RPG. Yeah, it's powered by the apocalypse. We're back at it again. So if you want to hear how a completely original game is generated in the moment, well, I'll see you on Valentine's Day. And if you want to be involved in helping direct the course of this show, consider being a supporter for us on Patreon. It's really helped keep the lights on. I'm not even kidding. I looked at my own personal budget, and I'm really happy that I don't have to put my own personal money into running this podcast anymore because I'm broke. But thanks to you, this show isn't. It's covered our expenses on the website and on SoundCloud and a music licensing fee, so we're not going to be faced with any cease and desists anytime soon for using the Star Wars theme song again. So you can find that out at patreon.com/Terrible Warriors. And I know we're a little behind on honoring the NPC names. A lot of that is due to the fact that we recorded all of our current games back in December, and since then we haven't recorded any games in January. But we're back at it this weekend, and I promise, Halcyon City and all of the superheroes that we'll be meeting, they're all going to be named after you. And if you're jealous of Andy Hughes for joining us here on the Mutants in Orbit show, well, you don't have to be. You can become a supporter today and become the next guest on the Terrible Warriors. And if you got a bit of stage fright, that's fine. We still offer one-on-one consultations. You can hang out with us on Skype, or I'll just send you a postcard if you don't want to talk to me at all. All the support on Patreon isn't just about our operating costs. It's also about being able to buy new games for this show and set up things down the road, like, I don't know, a live show in Toronto or getting on the road and going down to a convention. These are all things that are now things we're thinking about because of the support we're getting from Patreon. So, once again, thank you so much for your support. Today's Terrible Warriors with Derek Burrow, Julian Spillane, Mike the Birdman Dodd, Game Master Justin Ecock, with Patreon supporter Andy Hughes, and NPC shout-out to Stephen Prince. Join us next time as the cats will get their shiny things back from the rats, as teenage superheroes will come into their own in a world that doesn't accept them. And the mutants, yeah, they're just gonna be stuck in orbit for a while. Thank you for listening to the Terrible Warriors.